All right. Hello again, everybody. This is Zach, and this is episode 2, turn 3 of Pancor System. My path to Ascension begins here. We're Tianchi, playing in the middle era of the 3 possible eras of this game, and let's get right to it. So here's the basic event list overlay. This is going to tell us if anything interesting happened this turn. This turn we appear to have 2 messengers and 1 proclamation. Let's see. Alright, so this guy's shtick is that he's explaining what Homestuck is constantly. His god is named the Homestuck Explainer, and it appears we're going to get one of these messages every turn. This guy's making fun of us who failed to rename our prophets. I'm included in that group, and I deserve this. He finally also made a prophet. His prophet is named Samog, and there was a battle. So this is our first battle. We're going to go ahead and view it. Here is the heart of this game, the battle view. On the right side, we see the independent armies trying to defend their homes from my hegemony, and on the left side, you see my forces invading. So, these are the archers that we positioned out front. Here are the spear and shield guys that we recruited last turn. Here are the cavalry we recruited last turn, and these are the pikemen we started with. Here's our general. Now, there's a lot of things we can do in this view. I'm going to hit C to turn on colored squares. So you can see these have white squares under them because they're independent, and these have red squares. We're going to go ahead and watch the battle and see if my plan was good enough. Here we go. Now, unlike in Dominions 4, all of these guys just start doing things at once. You can see my archers have started firing. You can see their troops are still advancing. Their archers haven't gotten in range yet. There's their first volley. Our guys are starting to move forward. Our cavalry are moving. Looks like our cavalry aren't going to be able to get around the flank. They have their troops deployed pretty far to the side. But they are going to make contact with this group of, it looks like militia. And there's some heavy infantry at the back here. So far, we're holding them in place and overwhelming these ones here. The heavy infantry are holding out a little bit longer. The light infantry have already routed. But overall, I think this is going pretty well. As long as we don't get hit by too many arrows while we're waiting for these last 2 guys to rout, we should be alright. Alright, our prophet used a smite on them, so they're gone. And now we're advancing on this last group of archers. They shouldn't be too dangerous once we're done everything. Getting a lot of last-minute point-blank arrow hits there, though. But now that we're in it, just fine. Oh man. They're pretty brave. Alright, so that was a full battle of Dominions at normal speed. We'll probably be watching most of them faster than that, unless something really interesting is happening. We can make it slow motion, we can zoom very close down to the ground and watch the individual's last sprite as he attempts to flee for his life. 4 hit points left, chest wound. A 22-year-old archer trying to flee the battle. And here's the grid. He's in the last square. He has escaped. Alright, so we're going to watch that again at turbo speed. And I'm going to stop it in the middle and talk about it. So here's what it looks like. Much Alright, last time I promised I'd tell you about numbers. Here is a footman. This row of numbers is mostly defensive numbers. This is how many hit points he has. That's just like D&D, it resists damage. This is how big he is. He's size 2. A total of 6 size of units fit in a square, so 3 of these guys can stand in one of these squares. They have 10 protection. That's from the full leather armor they're wearing and the helmet. It's averaged over the body to give an average of 10, even though they have 18 head protection and 9 body. They have 10 magic resistance, which is perfectly average, and 13 morale, which is better than they normally would, but they're in friendly dominion, and they get a bonus for their squad because of their commander and because of this spell. Okay. Then strength, attack skill, defense skill, precision, combat speed. These are how fast they do things or how well they do things or how hard it is to hit them. Map move, encumbrance, fatigue, age, and experience points. Map move is how far they can move on the strategic map. Encumbrance is how tired they get because of how heavy their equipment is after every time they have to fight. Fatigue is how tired they have gotten. That's on a scale of 0 to 100 is unconsciousness, and 200 is you start taking damage and dying. Their age, they are 24. This one is 24 years old. I believe this one is 23. They're different ages. Experience points is how experienced they are. Just like in D&D, as that number goes up, you get better at fighting. The strength, attack skill, defense skill stuff is kind of similar to Warhammer or a lot of other tabletop games. The idea is that you roll some dice and add them to your attack skill, and the defender rolls some dice and adds them to their defense skill. And I think if you tie or you beat them, you hit. Now, what those die rolls actually are is kind of interesting. I'm going to pause this for a second and hit 3. If you look, you can see damage roll 15 plus 8 versus protection roll of 9 plus 4, 10 points of damage. Archer missed Footmen. Attack roll 14 versus defense roll 19. So, what those die rolls are each value, and then plus a random number that is generated using 2 6-sided dice that explode. So it's a little bit actually like the dice mechanics in Feng Shui, if you've played that or any other tabletop RPGs that use exploding dice. I'll include a link to an any dice graph in the description of this episode in case anybody likes looking at bell curves. But essentially, if you have one number better than somebody, you're going to beat them more than 50% of the time. If you have 3 numbers better than somebody, you're going to beat them about 75% of the time. If you have more than that, like 4 or 6 numbers better than somebody, you're going to beat them almost all the time. It drops off very quickly away from the center of the graph. Anyway, you can see these are their attack forms. They're modified by their weapon. These are their various forms of defense. Each unit has all these details, and each unit is actually tracked individually on the map. That last archer we saw escaping, if he had anywhere to retreat to, he could show up next turn in another battle, still with his chest wound. So let's see, how did we do overall? Not great. It's great that we took the province, but we lost some units. We lost 5 of our footmen, we lost 2 of our archers, and we lost 2 of our horsemen. And I think that the rest of our horsemen retreated, yeah. 3 units dispersed or retreated on their own, 2 of them made it back to friendly territory. So a third of our horsemen is dead due to possibly having deserted after leaving the battle. Alright, so here we are back on the map. You can see that we have more vision over here now that we've expanded another step. And we can still see the same things in our cap circle. It looks like we did not win the bid on the mercenaries, so someone must have spent quite a bit of money on these guys. That's alright, it means we're pretty rich right now. We should start thinking about our future. So these guys here, they're still strong enough to take another province, probably. I wouldn't want to throw them into these horse tribe. But they should be able to take these guys. But after that, we're going to want more armies. So if we look here, we've got a fair number of cavalry because our 2 who retreated ended up here, and a few footmen accumulated. And we've just taken this province, which means we can recruit units here too. We're going to make an independent commander here, we're going to send him down here, and then next turn he can start leading troops from here, probably to attack this province. we're going to take these guys, and we are going to, perhaps foolishly, but probably not. Vinemen are pretty bad at fighting, and woodsman blowpipes aren't that good. We're going to go ahead and attack in here. Here we go. So we're going to leave these guys right at the back. We're going to leave these guys back like this. We're going to move these guys back just a little bit more. Or actually, we're going to put these guys up top. We're going to put these ones down here. Now, what that means is that... No, that doesn't actually help. Alright, so sorry. I was thinking, the way battles in this game work is that you kind of have to try to simulate what you think is going to happen in your head. So, what happened that last battle, this is a formation I've used before, but I noticed that it isn't super effective, is that right when the enemy archers got into range was the same turn that these guys had walked forward and walked forward and walked forward and were standing in the middle of this line, meaning that they're a very good target for those archers to fire at. Still not as good a target as if everybody was in boxes, but a pretty good target. We're going to leave these guys in the same formation, though, maybe even move these guys up a tiny bit, so it takes longer for these guys to walk to them, and so they get more close-range shots before they have to walk up. And we will go only one Sermon of Courage this time, and then we'll start spamming Words of Power. Now, one thing that I didn't mention is that because we have our prophet here, we should take a look at him for a second. He is blessed. Now, your bless in this game, unlike the earlier games of the Dominion series, is determined by what magic you took on your god. So for us, we have the following blesses. We have decay weapons, we have a penetration bonus of 1, and it's not displaying, but we also have a spell range boost. So what our god, who I called just an old wizard last turn, but that's not true. Our god is an immortal cultivator of incredible skill, attempting to attain the true Tao and vanquish all who would stand between him and the enlightened rule of the multiverse. And he's very good at astral magic and a little bit less good at death magic, and he's an old man holding a sword and a fan who can fly and see people's souls. And because he's so cool, everyone who truly believes in him and is an ordained part of his priesthood, whenever they hit someone with a weapon, that person begins to age dramatically unless they're sufficiently resistant to magic. And if that person can cast spells, those spells have added magic penetration, and they reach farther. Which means that he can cast Sermon of Courage on people he couldn't usually cast it on, because usually is very short-ranged. It also means that when he smites people, they have less chance to resist that. And it also means that those withering weapons are more likely to affect you than they would be without it. Anyway, I'm talking too much this episode, but just wanted to cover some of this stuff. This army's going in here. We should think about our next turn's recruitment. We've got 2 of these little wizards. We should get probably 1 more. And then we're going to switch to a different wizard. Now, for units, we'll talk about wizards in detail next turn when we decide what wizard to recruit next. But for units right now, mostly what I'm doing is I'm making the ones that don't cost a lot of resources. Because if you notice, as I recruit each one, these numbers go down. And the number that I run out of first is resources. Not gold, not recruitment points. Resources. So, I'm mostly going to make these very cheap, lightly equipped footmen with shields, and these horsemen for right now. So let's see, this should be, that'll be 8 plus, so that'll be 10 footmen and about 10 horses. Now that's not a real expansion army. I shouldn't probably send that out by itself, but I think this is a very lightly defended province, and I think they'll be able to take that, and that getting this province, because it has some resources, forts draw resources from the areas that are 1 province away from them. So by taking this province, we'll be able to recruit more guys in the following turns. There are some mercenaries. These mercenaries are incredibly terrible. We're just going to save up our money. I want to start building a second fort as soon as possible. It might actually be worth it to send these guys up this way to try to take this province so that we could start building another fort that wasn't directly adjacent to our capital this turn. But we're going to wait another turn, or possibly two, I think. And we're going to go down here first. Yes. We took misfortune, which means that random bad things can happen to our province. So we're going to install some province defense in this place. These are units who can never leave here, but who will defend this province against anything that attacks. And we're also going to recruit a single militia here at some point. It won't be this turn because we're already recruiting one guy here and we don't have enough resources. But a lot of the random events in this game that cause bad things to happen to your provinces only trigger if you don't have any units in that province. So by leaving one single militiaman up here, we'll be able to prevent, for example, I think, wolves from attacking us and taking away our province of Pannonia with its population of 8,890 people and its income of 72 pounds of gold per turn. So yeah, we're going to send these guys down here and kill this. We're going to let these guys hang out in here. We're researching right now. We should be researching something in specific. We have been researching conjuration, I guess. I thought I queued something up, but I guess I didn't. That's pretty bad. Alright, so there are 7? Yes, there are 7 schools of magic. Conjuration mostly makes things. Alteration mostly changes things. Evocation mostly blows things up. Construction mostly builds artifacts. Very different than conjuration, which honestly mostly summons creatures. Enchantment creates lasting changes in things or groups of things and makes lasting spells. It's a hard difference from these other ones, but like alteration is you melt a guy into a puddle of goo. Enchantment is you make a zombie out of a dead body. Thaumaturgy is you can mind control people and learn what's going on far away and teleport yourself. And blood magic is probably the path that we'll use the least this game, depending on how some things go. But it involves sacrificing virgins to summon devils and cause blood to come from the eyes of your enemies and various other wonderful things. We don't have any national blood mages, so we can't use it without Herculean efforts. We might make those efforts eventually, but not for a while. So early research goals. It really depends what wizard we make, but I think what we want to do first is probably to get a little bit of either thaumaturgy or evocation. I think that we'll probably... We already have Alteration 1, which is good. If we get... Let's go ahead and... I shouldn't make those noises. Let's go ahead and get some evocation. Oh man. Alright, so here's the problem. Our guys can use basically every kind of magic that isn't blood. And some of it they're better at than others of it, but it's really going to depend who our starting neighbors are, how much we want to use what kind of magic. Now I just pressed an important button, it's 4 and it turns on these little candles, and we can see that there is one black candle down here. That means probably in this ocean down here, there's some sort of ocean dwelling civilization. Let's see, who are the ocean dwelling civilizations? So, in this game, there is Kerbal Space Program, or Kerbal Space Program, played by a very skilled player. They are illithids and powerful wizards, and they're stuck underwater, which is bad, but some of them can come on land and mess us up. And I know from talking on the Discord that they took as their god essentially an indestructible spaceship that will come and kill me. So hopefully it's not them, but if it is, maybe I can negotiate with them. The other ones, I think there's an Oceania, which is kind of like underwater satyrs, and there is, let's see, yeah, Peace, Love, and Drowning, underwater satyrs, and I think there's one more. Let's see, no. I thought we had like a yes or something. Only 2 underwaters? Ah, here we are, yes. Curious, Morgan Queens. Nuclear weapons! With a prophet named Gandhi as a civilization general. So yeah, this has been a lot longer than I meant it to be, but I'll figure out the right balance between explaining things and playing the game. These guys are going this way. We want to take our cap circle. We want to... Well, we've got accurate scouting. There's 50 of them. They're Deer Tribe. I think we can take Deer Tribe. Let's give it a shot. We're going to go this way. Alright. The rest of these are pretty easy, so we should be able to clear them out. Hopefully this won't lose. Let's put these guys one more tile forward, and I think we'll be fine. Okay. Then for research, alright, here's some of the spells that we might want. We could want web, which will let us web people to the ground. We could want a number of these water spells. We have earth and astral on the mages we've recruited so far, so this earth grip here will be pretty useful because even though it's usually range, well, no, they're not sacred. So it'll just be range 20, but we'll still be able to stick some guys to the ground with that. Conjuration, it would be nice to have earth power, which makes an earth mage more powerful. It would be nice to have power of the spheres, but power of the spheres isn't until level 3, so we should get some other stuff first. I think, let's see. Wind Guide is a good goal, but that's up at level 4. Flaming Arrows is a good goal, but that's up at level 5. Right? Oh, it's an enchantment. It's up at level 4 also. So let's see. If we go enchantment, the things we're getting first. Not too much. Not too much. Not too much that we need immediately. Evocation. Slime, Geyser, Cold Bolt. If we start making our Sacred Mages soon, which we should, those will all be very useful. And then eventually we will get to more powerful things on here. So on the other hand, do we have Tangle Vines? Oh boy. Indecisiveness forever. Could also go construction first. Let's get... Alright, so last time I talked a lot about gold and gems. If we click up here, we can see that we have magical gems. Gems aren't the same resource as gold. They don't give you money. Instead, you spend them on spells. So you can see we get 1 air gem a turn, 1 water gem a turn, 1 earth gem a turn, and 2 astral pearls a turn. And until we get some wizards going around searching for more magic sites, that's probably going to be our income. So if someone does attack us very early, we could make water elementals and earth elementals with these earth and water gems if we go conjuration first. So let's do that first, also because it will help combo into some of the other stuff we want to do. So we'll go conjuration 2 and then 3, because summon lesser earth elemental and summon lesser water elemental are both level 3. I'm probably going to change my mind about that next turn, but for now, that's what we're doing. And we'll talk in more detail about wizards and magic and what the deal is about that. But for now, I've talked long enough. So, this map is beautiful. I'm super excited to be playing on it, but because of the structure of dominions, I'm worried that we're going to live forever in a hell dimension. The goal of the game is to have 21 Ascension points. That's about half of these thrones. Like if we just go down from the most valuable ones at the top down to the bottom. 3, 5, 8, 11, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. So the fewest number of thrones you could need to win this game is 9. These planets have choke points. Thrones are on some of those choke points, but that's kind of besides the point right now. So if I want to win this game, here's a throne over here on the far side of this planet. Here's a throne down here in the south. Here's a throne up here in the north. Oh, and there's 2 more. So we can get 5 whole thrones from just this one planet. Thankfully, none of them are underwater. If we want to win the game, though, we would need these 5 thrones on our planet, plus this throne on... Is this a moon? There's little notes on some of these. Yeah, let's see. This is a little watery moon. I'm not quite sure. Warning, elf! Warning, elf! Did anyone play the elves? Let's see. Oh, yes, we have some elves, I believe. Yes, Valen of Vanheim is certainly an elf. Pangea's darker cousin Asphodel is centaurs and satyrs, which is not quite elves, but just as bad in the terms of dominions. And are those the main elves? I believe those are the main elves, although I guess technically that these are elves as well, under some definitions. Marrows and underwater's fae riding. Steeds that breathe fire on land but not on the water. Anyway, I'm rambling a lot today. We would need to take not just all the thrones on our planet, but also this one on this moon. There aren't any thrones on the ring world. There aren't any thrones on this moon. So probably this one on this moon. This one on this moon. And then let's see, 5, 6, 7, 8. We would need 1 more. So we would have to make it onto this planet, or onto this planet, or onto one of these planets and get one of their thrones. The world starts ending at turn 69. So it's likely that the way this game is going to end is that whoever can defend their thrones longest against tides of interdimensional horrors will claim the throne of the Pantocrator by default. But anyway, that's all I can think of to talk about right now, other than the things I've promised we'll get into later. This has been turn 3 of My Path to Ascension Begins Here, an immortal daoist space quest in a terrible, wonderful video game. Thanks for listening. This has been Zach. Have a good day.